Are you taking the call?
Well, only if you're not going to give her
If the Minister will take
taking the call?
I'm going to take
I call the Honourable Minister, Paula Bennett.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. I just wanted to respond to the member and around the financial veto for her supplementary number 77. She called it a discretion, and the first thing I'd say that the way it has been interpreted is that it's not really a discretion as such, particularly for the not recovering any sum comprising that part of a debt under the section. So I'm referring to 359C. The debtor has one or more dependent children and the Chief Executive is satisfied that recovery of the sum may deprive. We don't see that as discretion. It actually will limit our ability at some level, and it will be suspending debt recovery. So that's a big part of the financial veto, and it's because of the way that it's written that we can't accept it. So there would be a substantial, and the advice I've had is that there would be a substantial long-term financial impact if we did not recover any debts or overpayments from someone. We actually do have a huge amount of overpayments that happen sometimes because someone doesn't alert us soon enough that they've got a job or that their situations have changed. Sometimes it's the systems themselves. As you can all understand, we usually try and err on the side of the beneficiary keeping their money, and sometimes that means we overpay them by the week or two. We're better off to recover that and let that happen. Most of our overpayments are actually only for about a week, so they're not huge debts that some people think that they are, but they accumulate and they're incredibly high. To be fair, around the sanctions as well, the estimates that I've had from the department, even though the Minister of Finance, with his advice from Treasury, has gone for the 128 million, the advice I've had is that it could cost between 200 and 300 million over 4 years if we did not impose sanctions on anyone and with that debt recovery. And the other reason being the behavioural changes, and that's why we have sanctions, quite frankly. We have sanctions so that we get behavioural changes and so that the obligations are actually fulfilled. If that wasn't so, then quite frankly we wouldn't sanction. Because it's for no other reason than to have those obligations fulfilled and to see the changes that we're looking for. The other thing I would bring to the members' attention is that the protection that she's talking about and that level of discretion already exists. So it is in the legislation. It has to be good and sufficient reason, and as such I would say that there is the discretion and it is used actually as well. To give an actual example of that, there are many cases where someone does not make an appointment, does not turn up to an interview, does not turn up to a training or something that they were supposed to be. They don't give us a reason until we go to sanction them, and then they inform us that a child was sick or that there was something, a good reason, and for that reason we do not sanction them. So they have not actually done the activity they were supposed to. However, we see good and sufficient reason not to actually administer that sanction, and I can tell you in literally thousands of cases we don't for those very reasons. So there is a level of discretion. It is used quite rightly, and that will remain.
Point of order, the Honourable
Mr Speaker, I'd ask you to look at the Standing Order 317, which relates to the financial veto certificate, which has been tabled relating to the two amendments from Jan Logie and from Holly. I'd like you to look at what the Standing Order says, and then look at the certificates that have been provided by the Minister of Finance. We've just had an explanation from the Minister as to why a veto has been applied. That's all very well. But when you read the Standing Order, it says the certificate by the government must state with some particularity the nature of the impact of the fiscal aggregate or the aggregates concerned and the reason why the government does not concur in the bill, amendment or motion. If you read the certificates, Mr Chairman, they don't give any explanation at all. And while it's very nice for the Minister to tell the members of this House why there is a veto, I don't believe these certificates are adequate in informing the House in line with Standing Order 317. Just to say it's going to have an impact on the operating expense, give a number, but no explanation, in my view, does not meet the test that is meant to be applied in Standing Order 317. And I would ask for you to look at it. I believe these ought to be withdrawn and rewritten to meet the Standing Order, because as they are, there is no explanation or particularity in the reasons given to this House.
Can I thank the honourable member for her dissertation of the situation regarding the government's financial veto. I am advised that it's covered under Standing Order 3221 and 2, and in fact what we have here that has been lodged by the Minister is the standard form for any proposals to implement a financial veto. This is the standard form. Point of order, the Honourable Annette King.
I accept that it may have been a standard way a certificate has been provided for a financial veto, but I'm asking you to look as to whether, in fact, we have been doing it appropriately in this House. Maybe it's never been brought to the attention before, but I don't believe it meets in any of the standing orders, including the ones you have just quoted, Mr. Chairman. It does not provide what the standing order asks it to provide. If it's been done like this in the past, then in my view it hasn't been done correctly.
I'm advised looking at the certification upon Standing Order 322 relating to amendments proposed to be moved in a committee of the whole House, that under the standard format supplied, there is a paragraph here which I would point to the member. It's under impact on fiscal aggregates concerned and reason for the government not concurring, and it reads, the proposed amendments would impact on the Crown's fiscal aggregates by increasing the Crown's total operating expenses and level of total Crown debt by approximately $128 million over the forecast period. And that is why the government has implemented its veto, because of the increase in cost to the Crown.
Point of order.
Point of order, the Honourable Member Grant Robertson.
Mr. Chair, I want to raise two matters. One is to endorse what my colleague Annette King has said about the question of what due particularity is. But I also wonder whether these certificates are in order at all, because they begin by citing Standing Order 317. And Standing Order 317, as I read it, and what I think are the latest standing orders, is in fact a standing order that relates to disallowance motions from the Regulations Review Committee. Now, the headline mentions Standing Order 322, but I don't actually believe Standing Order 317 is at all relevant to this particular matter, and I would suggest to you, Mr. Chair, that these certificates are in fact completely out of order, because they are not in fact given to the House under the correct standing order.
Well, I can only relate again the advice that I have been given, and that is about the financial impact to the Crown of $128 million over the forecast period.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
And I've been advised that also in this particular lodgement from the government, where it refers to Understanding Order 317, it is in fact a typographical error.
Well, point of order.
That's what I've been advised.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Point of order.
It may well be a typographical error, but I think that means that the certificate is out of order. It does not achieve the purpose that the government wants. A certification clearly would have to state the standing order under which it's been put in, and I believe that that means, typographical or otherwise, that these certificates are not in order and therefore do not apply.
Speaking to the point of order, the Honourable Porter Bennett.
Speaking to the point of order, Mr. Chairman, if it would so please the House, then I would be happy to go away and take advice and make sure that we have the correct standing order there, and make sure it's at the attention of the House. We've got plenty of time to do that, and the House could go about its business, and we could remedy that.
Just before I call the member, I have been advised that instead of 317 there, it should be 322. That's in fact, so the member has made a very valid point. The Honourable Annette King.
Mr Speaker, I was just going to point that out. I think an old standing orders of 2008 was used instead of the most recent one. But I would still ask for advice to come back to this House by the Speaker or an official of the House as to whether there is enough particularity given by just saying it's going to be this amount of money, we veto it. I don't think that does meet the test of some particularity. It is just a figure, nothing given to us as to how they added it up, what they included in it, and I would like us to have a considered ruling on that at some stage.
Can I thank the Honourable Member, and what we will do, we will check with parliamentary practice in New Zealand, and we will certainly come back and inform the member the situation as it currently is. Point of order, the Honourable Member Grant Robertson.
Thank you, Mr Chair. I want to thank you and the Minister and the Chair for undertaking to correct the certification. Can we then take it as, for the time being, while this debate is underway, the SOPs remain on the table from Holly Walker and Jan Logie? Can I take it from you that they are now live, subject to the Minister returning to the House?
The Minister has indicated that's fair enough.
Excellent.
I call the Honourable Member Jacinda Ardern.
Thank you.